Hello, friends. Chris Corsi here, president of Thrive Today, and I want to welcome you to the Relational Skills in Real Life podcast. Friends, I'm glad you're here. Today's topic is on how relational skills can help with transitions. That's right. How do relational skills help with transitions? This is a big deal because transitions can be very hard, very painful, very scary, and very difficult in so many ways. And so the million-dollar question is, how do I find peace? How do I stay anchored? How do I hold on to my joy while I navigate a transition that feels very threatening or very intimidating? So, friends, this is a very relevant topic because we all go through transitions. We all go through seasons of life, and seasons and transitions can be really hard to navigate. So, how do we minimize the relational casualties while we navigate a season of change? So let's look at transitions a little bit and why they're so hard to navigate. Keep in mind that your brain looks back to predict the future. So your brain tries to prepare you for next steps by assessing the past, by bringing the past into the present. Your brain is a predictive machine. So it's always calculating, how do I get through this next step without injuring myself, without harming myself? Your self-preservation system in the right hemisphere is very strong. It's very powerful. And God designed the self-preservation system to keep us alive. So we learn from the past, and we're always making calculations for step by step going forward how to minimize relational casualties, emotional, physical casualties. So, friends, when previous transitions have been painful or even traumatic, our assessment center at level 2 develops strong opinions about transitions and the unknown. So, we may find that our peace is running out rather quickly. Our peace is absent as we prepare for this transition. We become more anxious, more volatile, more irritable, even depressed. So your self-preservation system is trying to keep you alive by loading files of previous experiences to guard you from future hurt and future pain. And so the unknown can be a frightening reality. When we don't know what to expect, it's common that your brain will assume the worst, right? This predictive machine that God gave us is making those calculations saying, hey, this happened in the rearview mirror. Let's not do this again. Let's not repeat this. Let's do something different. And so that's where we get high energy reactions like fear and anxiety, or we end up shifting to low energy reactions, which would be like hopeless despair, where we just lose our motivation. We feel depressed. We just don't feel like we have what we need to navigate this transition. And so noticing when we lose our peace really gives us opportunities to get our peace back. And this is why relational skills are so important because we get really good at accessing the relational parts of who God made us to be, holding on to the good stuff, keeping our peace when things get difficult. We learn to live with that awareness of God's interactive presence. So we notice that Jesus is with us and we're not alone. Because you see, feeling alone in transitions really makes them unbearable, right? I feel disconnected or I feel some loss, and your brain has strong opinions about loss and attachment pain. So transitions involve changes and fluctuations that take us out of our normal operating state, which threaten our homeostasis, because ultimately your nervous system likes homeostasis. And so in many ways, we are driven, even biologically wired, to stay in our comfort zones. We want to stay in our safe places, our comfort zones where things are predictable. And we have these ingrained patterns that really prioritize safety from threats. So familiarity activates dopamine and serotonin to keep us in the range of what we know as our normal state, that homeostasis where something's familiar, we feel secure, we feel safe. And this is why a lot of athletes will try to normalize doing hard things and they'll familiarize themselves with the field or the court or the track so that they're not nervous or anxious before competing. They want to minimize the fluctuations so that their nervous system and their body remain in their ideal operating state. So, resistance actually expands our comfort zones. Think about that. Resistance strengthens our ability to stay our relational selves, even when we feel like we're being pushed to the edge of what's familiar and comfortable. So resistance grows our spiritual muscles. It increases our faith. And so our comfort zones are often where spiritual growth becomes stagnated in some way. Like if we stay in our comfort zones and we fight to stay in our comfort zones, we're probably not going to grow as much as leaning into the resistance and being stretched. And you know what? I can think about this in my own life, where God often has done the deepest and most profound work in my heart and my life when I was stretched beyond the perimeters of my comfort zone, right? It was in those moments where I felt like, wow, I'm no longer in my comfort zone here. This is where I find Jesus already there waiting for me. And so Jesus is already there waiting for us anytime we slip outside of our comfort zone. And in this way, we grow confidence that when we're challenged, we can expand the tent poles of our comfort zones. And in this way, transitions become opportunities for growth, opportunities for healing, and even expansion and growth of our maturity and our character. So, in truth, good things grow and blossom when we leave our comfort zones behind and enter into what my colleagues and I call the transformation zone. And the transformation zone, as we call it in Joy Starts Here, is really where good things grow, where our growth starts to blossom, our healing increases, and our maturity expands. And when I think about transitions, I can remember when Jen and I were starting Thrive Today as its own nonprofit ministry. We were running our training under our partner ministry for years, which was Shepherd's House, which is now Life Model Works. And so we were under Shepherd's House for about 11 years. And the time came when we felt like the Lord was saying, it's time for you to go out on your own and to start your own nonprofit ministry, really focusing on training and equipping people to learn relational skills. Friends, this was scary. This was daunting because there was a lot of unknown here. I kind of felt like I was jumping out of an airplane without confidence that the parachute was going to open. It was very unsettling on many levels because this is something we hadn't done before, and there was a lot of unknown and there was a lot of fears. So, how we handled this is we pressed ahead. We would turn to God each step of the way and we would follow God's peace. And so we would interact with Jesus to get our peace back. And we would constantly have this assurance from the Lord that He was leading us and He had a plan. And often the thought, just trust me, would come to mind. Just trust me, Chris. And so with each step, we sensed God's closeness and we turned to Him in times where fear and uncertainty was really robbing our peace. So bringing Emmanuel into the equation of a transition changes everything, friends. So the transitions you're navigating, I want to encourage you to talk to Jesus and get your peace from the Lord and invite others to sit with you and seek God in what's happening. And there's some important questions we can ask God. Jesus, what are you doing here? What do you want me to know about what you're up to? What are you saying here, Lord? What do you want me to know about what's on your heart for me? And Lord, what do you want me to know about my reactions? Where do these reactions come from? And is there anything I can give you, Lord, that's bogging me down? What do I need to trust you with? And so these are really helpful responses when that self-preservation system starts to kick into high gear. And so these patterns or these steps can really help us to get our peace back. But there's a few helpful relational skills I'd like to highlight that can help you navigate the transitions that you're currently going through as well. And the relational skills that I want to highlight would be skill 0, relational circuits, skill 2, quieting, what we call simple quiet, skill 11, returning to joy, and of course, skill 13, which is living in Emmanuel lifestyle, or what we call God sight. So skill 0 relational circuits is really what helps us to remain our relational, peaceful self. So we notice the times where we slip into enemy mode and we start focusing on pain or problems. We start fretting. Basically, we lose our peace and our joy. And anytime we lose access to our relational circuits, we're going to feel like we're in the back seat and someone else is driving. And so getting relational is a way that we are able to stay in our sweet spot with joy and peace so that we are clear-headed and we're confident that even though I don't know what's around the corner, God is with me here and He's up to something. In enemy mode, we lose all awareness that God is with us. We know in theory He's with us, but experientially it just feels like we're alone. So getting back in your relational sweet spot is going to help you navigate what you're going through. Skill two is the quieting, the simple quiet, where it's just a purposeful pause when we notice our body's tensing up, our mind is racing, and enemy mode is fast approaching. So quieting means we're still, we can be still, we can calm ourselves, we can reflect on God's goodness and his peaceful presence, and even invite Jesus into those times where we're trying to quiet and calm ourselves. Take those deep breaths. And then we have skill 11, which is returning to joy, which just means we get really good at feeling our feelings, sharing our feelings, and calming and quieting our feelings. Inevitably, a lot of emotions are going to arise, like fear or what we call dread, which is a complex emotion of fear and hopeless despair. And avoiding emotions only gives them more power and it prolongs recovery. So lean into what you feel. Share it with Jesus. Share it with safe people that you trust. And what this does is it removes pressure that we're feeling and it helps us avoid being traumatized by what's happening. So don't avoid emotions, but we actually feel our feelings, share our feelings, and we quiet our feelings. Joy and peace is restored. And of course, skill 13 is just the God sight skill, where this skill is woven throughout this entire process. We're staying connected to the vine, and this connection keeps us from drowning. We actively turn to Jesus anytime our peace runs out and we interact with God. So, friends, this is a lot of information, but I just want to encourage you that transitions are opportunities to grow in new ways. No matter what you're facing, approach this transition as an opportunity to experience God's peace and presence in new and deeper ways. Identify the fears that you face. What are the fears? What are you afraid is going to happen? What are some of the lies that you believe? And we can strengthen those areas and those weaknesses in our maturity so that our capacity grows and good things start to blossom. So a transition becomes an opportunity for you to become more like Jesus. And friends, I'm really excited about some next steps here. We have a practice class coming up on this topic where we're going to look at finding peace in transitions. You can learn more about this class. We're going to have material and exercises that's going to be really, I think, impactful for this topic. So visit thrivetoday.org and go to upcoming events and find more about this practice class. And may this be the start of something good for you today, my friends.